State week, it's the start of a new season for us in terms of getting into conference play, and what a great opportunity we have to be here home at the Shell on a Friday night, and we expect it to be a great crowd, and we're excited about the opportunity that we have to play a really good team in Penn State. As I talked about last week, we're also excited about having Coach Friedgen back this week, along with all the rest of our lettermen. This is our lettermen's game, so we'll have quite a few former players back for this one. Our team is just coming off the bye week where we spent, 3 practices last week really cleaning up some fundamental things that you see when you self-scout, which we did last week. We also got a head start on Penn State. And obviously, with it being a Friday game, our schedule's kind of been moved up a day in our preparation. So today for us will be a typical Tuesday practice for us, and yesterday was a Monday practice for us. And again, our guys are excited with the opportunity to play a really good team here at home as we continue on our journey. As we talked about, we have some injury updates. In the Temple game, Jake Funk tore his left ACL, which was the same ACL that he had surgery on last year. So he's out for the remainder of the season. We'll be having surgery here shortly, and we're very hopeful, obviously, to be able to get the year back for him, which would allow him possibly to have 2 more years after this season. And Jake played an integral role, not just on offense, but on our special teams. So that's a huge blow for us. But as we say with most injuries, the next man up mentality has to take place. We got Lolo Harrison, who has been a really productive player for us, who happens to be coming back off of a hamstring, healthy and available to us. And so, we see Lolo's role increasing as he comes back from the hamstring, with Jake being out, to be a guy that we'll lean on, not just as on offense, but also in some special team situations. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, you and James Franklin go back to your coaching days here. You all still maintain a relationship, and how exciting is it that you have your own programs and you're matching up against one another this Friday night?
Yeah, James and I, our relationship goes back, I think, to, I want to say 98 or 99 when he came here as a young coach. I think he was leaving Idaho State, and we were both young coaches together on Ron Vanderlinden's first staff, and then we both stayed on through Coach Friedgen, and we've maintained a relationship over the years. Obviously, James has had great success as a head coach at Vanderbilt and now at Penn State, and so I'm always glad to see guys do well. And again, in all the games except the ones we play them in. So again, we both are guys that grew up in this program here, and again, both having coached under Coach Friedgen, but we do have a cordial relationship.
In terms of penalties and those kind of don't beat yourself type plays, what do you do apart from just talking about it and emphasizing it to teach that? And do you feel like you made meaningful progress there in the bye week?
Yeah, one of the things that we said going into this season, we were one of the most penalized teams there in the country last year, and we made a big point of emphasis. And one of the things we've done is we've, hired officials to come out to every practice, and so we chart our penalties during the course of practice, and then we pull those plays off. And again, just like in any teaching or developmental program, we address them, and so we address them on a daily basis. After every practice, we have a officials report where each of us, we know what penalties were called during the course of practice. We pull those plays, and then again, we go into the film room, as well as any of the other things we can do to friendly reminders of making sure that we're not beating ourselves. And again, I think that showed up some in our last opportunity that we had. And again, we've got to get that corrected. But the big thing is just with having those officials at practice every day, it really helps us with being able to have it taught and making sure that it's emphasized not just in games, but we do it in practice as well.
Maryland in the past has struggled a lot, against Penn State in terms of kind of, offense, especially the last 2 years. coming off of a game against Temple where the offense struggled, how kind of are you working with, the players and schemes, in practice to kind of, have things be different this year against them?
Again, I mean, comparisons, I don't know about the last 2 years, what they've done or what we've done on offense against them. Again, we rarely worry about our opponent as much as we do about our execution. I think we'll stick to that script. The things we've got to do to prepare, we've got to practice the right way. Those are the habits and behaviors we talk about. How we study our opponent. We've got to put together a great plan as a coaching staff and make sure that our guys have a real good comfort level with being able to execute the things that we're going to need to be successful on the offensive side of the ball. And, that's what we've done, the first 3 practices last week and starting yesterday as we went into our game week prep against Penn State.
Mike, in terms of the way Josh has come back from this game, in terms of what you saw in practice, in terms of your meetings with him, first of all, in terms of what he did on the field, do you look at the way the game started and did that sort of lead into all the other issues he had the rest of the day, or was it just his inability to sort of see what they were doing in terms of hiding things and
Yeah, I mean, I thought we maybe had a lot tougher looks against some of our previous opponents up into the Temple game. Obviously what we've tried to do with Josh is to go back and find out what created the issues he had. I mean, again, I think I take it back to just having the right kind of eye discipline as a quarterback in the RPO game. We went back and looked at the tape. He watched it with Scotty one-on-one, and then he and I have had a couple meetings. But, again, I think that's kind of an outlier game for Josh. He's a guy that really has made really good choices and been really disciplined. He's had a good couple of days of practice. Last week we got back to some of the fundamental things. We maybe reinstalled and reinforced, again, some of the decision-making and how and why those decisions need to be made based on where his eye discipline starts and finishes. So he's had a good week of work last week, and then yesterday he's starting off pretty good. And, we feel really good about the way he'll go out and execute if we continue to practice the way we practiced thus far.
In the second half of the Temple game, Darryl Jones seemed to not make it on the field as much. Was he injured, or was it just part of a rotation?
Darryl's been injured. He has a lower leg, kind of a calf strain, so he's been battling that, which, when you have a bad wheel as a skill guy, that makes it tough. So he went into that game a little banged up, and once we saw that he was unable to have the acceleration that he needs to play with, other guys had to step up, and that's kind of where he's been. But he's been practicing this week, and we think he'll be full speed come Friday.
Coach, can you talk about the matchup with Penn State, what you've seen of them on film? How do you match up with them, and what you have to do to be successful?
Yeah, they're a well-coached team in all 3 phases. They've got dynamic skill at the receiver position. Number 1 is a big-time player for them. They've got 3 guys. I know Justin Shorter, the big single-side receiver, is about a 6'4", 230-pound, really physical guy. They rotate 3 running backs in there, but I think it all starts with the quarterback, Clifford. He's a guy that can beat you with his arm and his legs. He's made plays where I've seen him run away from defenses as a ball carrier, but also has thrown the ball really well. When you look at those guys on defense, I think up front, their front 4 are very concerning to us, along with the 2 inside backers. Their front 7, very stout, very athletic. Again, and they've got a lot of experience when you look back on the back end with the secondary as well. So, Hamler also serves as a returner. So in the kick game, we've got to do a great job of making sure we can contain him. And, again, I think these guys are a well-coached bunch, and they got them playing at a high level. And so for us, we're going to have to obviously match them with their execution and how we approach the game. And I think, Friday our guys will be excited about this opportunity, but we're going to have to go out and play well to have an opportunity to take care of business.
Is there any update on Joseph Petrino, and if he can't go, does that impact some of the decisions you make in the red zone or on that half of the field?
Yeah, I mean, Joseph he's kicked the last couple of days. He kicked yesterday, so we don't foresee there being any issues there. We've spent last week. We basically didn't kick him for a week and really just overemphasized the treatment and getting him back to where he has a comfort level with his ability to go out and execute his job. We kicked him some yesterday. It was really positive. With our training report this morning, there were no issues for us, so we expect him to be able to kick Friday night.
Your first game when you were an interim head coach was against Penn State. What does it mean to you to now, face Penn State as, the solidified head coach of, this program?
I mean, it's not just Penn State, but as I've said before, to have the opportunity to lead the University of Maryland as the head coach is something that I've always coveted. Again, this is a big game for us because it's our next game, and obviously it's the start of conference play, and we play in a tough league. So to open up with a team of Penn State's caliber, it's very challenging. But I know our team is excited with the opportunity to face a good program like Penn State here at home, and we're hoping that our home crowd is very active and gives us a competitive advantage. Because it's going to take all of us. I mean, we're expecting it to be a 4-quarter game, a 60-minute game, and this time with us being able to execute the way we need to find a way to win.
Mike, how much of Piggy not getting in for only a couple of plays against Temple had to do with his physical condition, and what how much of it was just trying to have Josh play through some of the rough patches, and where is Piggy physically now compared to a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, Piggy's healthy, and he was a healthy scratch on Saturday, on last 2 Saturdays ago, I guess, for the Temple game. He played a couple of series for us, but he went into the game healthy. I do think that Josh is our starting quarterback, and we'll create again ways to get Piggy involved as a game plan situation, and just based on how we game plan Temple. Piggy wasn't as involved because he missed quite a bit of the work that week. So he's 100% now. The lower back issue he had, there shouldn't be any issues, and he's practiced well last week and this week. And again, when he's healthy, we'll continue to try to find ways to game plan him into our offensive scheme, because he is a guy that has the ability to make plays for us. And the way he's continued to develop, I think that he can help us. And if he can help us score points and move the ball, we'll find ways to keep him involved.
I know it's just the next game, but with the extra bleachers out there and it being Penn State week, is there any buzz on campus? Are the guys any more jacked up than usual? Does it feel like a rivalry to you guys?
I mean, we haven't been on campus. I mean, I'm stuck at Gossett, so I don't know what the buzz is. And, one of the things that we've tried to do, Wayne, is to just really insulate ourselves to functioning and worrying about the things we can control. All the things you just talked about are things that are out of our control. It's great to hear that hopefully we'll have the type of crowd that our players deserve to have, and that I know our fans are excited about this game. But for us, all of our focus is on being the best version of Maryland football that we can be come Friday, and all the external noise and all the external excitement about this game, we're looking at it no different than we've looked at the other 3 opportunities that we've had, and that's just how we approach the game.
Coach, you talked a little bit about this, having Monday's practice be yesterday, but playing in extra day early, does that give you any challenges as a team?
No, because, it would have been difficult if we had played a game last Saturday, but with us coming off of a bye week, it's kind of hasn't been an issue, because we got a jump start on our game planning a week ago. We got through 3 pretty solid practices, which would typically be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday type practice schedule for us, and then we're just doing it over again, starting yesterday with Monday, which we did a little more than we typically would do on a Monday because of how far out in advance we are with the game planning. So because of us having the bye week prior to this Friday game, it hasn't affected our preparation time. So for us, the days of the week, for us, if like today is a Tuesday for us in our mind, and that's kind of how our guys have approached it. In
terms of Josh, you talked about him being that laid-back personality, too cool for school in the pocket at times. Does that help or hurt a quarterback coming back from a tough game when he sort of has a laid-back personality? Or does it not play into it at all?
I don't think it plays into it. I mean, that's just kind of, as I've said, it's my experience, and I like that quarterback that feeds and has the energy. Josh has got to play to his personality, and just like as a coach, I've got to coach to my personality, and we both kind of have a happy medium there. I think he understands how he needs to play in our system, and I have no doubt in my mind, the laid-back personality is who he is. He's played well with it, and now he's maybe had a not as good a game as he's had the first two opportunities out, but I don't think we need to hit the panic button or change who he is, or I don't need to change who I am as a coach. And my expectation based on how he's practiced thus far is that he'll be able to go out and execute the offense in the manner that he's done the first couple of opportunities we've had. And I thought even in the Temple game, when you go back and look at it, he worked himself through some tough situations and ended up making some big plays for us there in the third quarter when we needed it. And as I told him, I mean, as bad as we all played on that side of the ball, we still had two opportunities to win the game running the ball, and we didn't get it executed. And that's, again, on me as the head coach to teach our guys how to execute and perform when the game's on the line. Thank you.
Josh Jackson.